shit. Hey Bush, wait till we get our shit. We gon' blow this motherfucker up. Wait till we get our shit. Wait till we get our shit. Hey Bush, wait till we get our shit. We gon' blow this motherfucker up. Blow the fucker up, blow the fucker 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 up. So I was having a conversation with a brother and I told him, your cell phone will be the first sign of the coming of the revolution. Now that is what I told him when he told me that the revolution would never come. I shook my head as he sat there with that dumb expression on his face, subconsciously crying out for a taste of insight. So right after he tried to justify how niggas can't never act right, I started to slowly unfold the American homicide. And while he tried to explain how black folks would never unite, I told him, brother, they won't have to decide. There'll become a time where they would simply have to join us or die. And if they happen to join the wrong side, that phone that you hold in your hand, the same crippling technology that created the pacified, selfish American, will determine the last place that you lie. Because this time, the revolution will be computerized and supplied by black mothers birthing soldiers between their thighs, sent off to be revolutionized as warriors, like militant lawyers creating new forms of government, because the old one will be irrelevant after we overthrow it, and the physics genius with the afro will be holding it down, and the engineer with the dreadlocks will be the one person in history who found the secret to world peace without violence. He'll send the revolution in a computer virus that would take the governments, the traders, and all the patriotic American haters' finances and put them on lock, and then drop them at an untraceable location. Black U.S. soldiers will be waving flags colored red, black, and green, and taking everything they learned from the man to the streets. And brothers will go on retreats to prison to recruit and train anybody ready to listen to the truth. And there's a spook in a convenience store, the same Middle Eastern man that you always seem to ignore, works for the revolution hardcore. Every day swipes their visa and gains more than their credit so that dreadlock engineer can just set it off. And the cost of the revolution is conveniently lost. And then the Korean boss, the only hair dash, nail dash, computer shop downtown, knows how to decode and corrupt confidential American government computer files. And by the time they figure it out, we'll be 360 miles closer to freedom, yet keeping them close enough to bleed them as needed. So while they grow fat thinking that the revolution has been defeated, looking for terrorists to storm the Capitol with a 45 or a Glock, that's a chica on the poles and prostitute on the block with a watch, able to pop off the White House just by setting her clock. Then there's a homeless man sticking out of the Pentagon ready to set the alarm when it comes time to fight. So people, you better be on the right side, because this time the revolution will be computerized. This time the revolution will be computerized. I promise you, one day this country will wake up and bank accounts will be missing.
I'm sorry, sir.
I promise you that one day this country will wake up and bank accounts will be missing. And the common home security system would be rigged to use high voltage lasers to trap the enemies in their kitchens. Symbolic of our home, they turned into the prison that we call the USA. And I'm sure that on that day, they'll be trying to blame the Taliban and they'll deliver a State of the Union address declaring that America can stop terrorism when America can't even stop the clues that we give them, proving that America don't know shit. And I promise you, Mr. President, by day 8, you'll be delivering a different union state, asking us to negotiate, because if God created the world in 7 days, I hate to see what we can do to this motherfucker in 8. So you can just sit there and wait while we determine the fate of the American, and we'll just email our list of demands to the man. We want a comprehensive political plan to include education, rebuilding our communities, black self-determination, emancipation, mental, physical, and spiritual liberation. We want our nation and our souls back. We want facts to support our children's knowledge of their history and traditions. We want a government that can listen and a president elected to carry out the people's mission. So even if you balance your checkbook to see how much you can afford in reparations, your budget ain't big enough to balance the debts of this nation. Because one day the people will grow tired of being patient, waiting for a redemption that would never come. And your cell phones will be the first sign of the coming of the revolution. This will be the warning that the war has just begun, and all the Uncle Toms, too comfortable in their condition, hindering the movement if they're not helping the situation, contributing to oppression, whether they be black, white, Latino, Native American, or Asian, because they developed an obsession with money, power, technology, and wealth. These motherfuckers will be the first ones to go. And now grief will be felt. There'll be nothing left to be said when cell phones start blowing up across the country against people's heads. And it doesn't have to be televised because now America is modernized. See, this time the revolution will be computerized. This time the revolution will be computerized. This time the revolution will be computerized. So, which side?